Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Hicks. I'm the Business Development Vice President for the ISV ecosystem here at Oracle. I would like to welcome you to another version of our Oracle Cloud Talk for ISVs, where we really talk about transformation strategies and how you can take advantage of what Oracle is doing to make a better solution for you and your customers. Before we get started, we will talk about product and other information today. Just want to make everybody aware of Oracle's safe harbor statement. While everything that we will be talking about today is actually commercially available, just in case we do get into any other topics, good point of reference for all of us in that regard. What I do want to cover off today is just really two topics with everybody. The first, and I will cover it, is really why are Oracle Cloud the right solution for ISVs, and why are they choosing it? I'll give you an overview of Oracle Cloud, again, specifically for companies that are developing commercial software solutions. And then I will bring on Matt Shivers, Business Development Director for Oracle, where he's going to share some very exciting information around Oracle at Oracle and what we are doing with our products, this particular case, our global business unit solutions, which are vertical products, as we have also been aggressively moving all of those to OCI as well. We would be one of the largest top 5 ISVs in the world if we spun out our global business units. So it's a good opportunity for you to get a good comparison for what this looks like as you migrate to the cloud with Oracle as well. And then finally, we'll wrap on some next steps. So really, if we look at it first, there's some key objectives that you have as a company, and how Oracle addresses them is very important to success and the ability for you to work with us. First and most important is I think everybody is interested in cost reduction. Obviously, as you grow, both in terms of scale of size of customers as well as number of customers, this becomes very important to you and your bottom line. How do we actually help you with operational costs, and how do we help you reduce those and give you pricing and models that are very flexible and easy for you to use? We realize you need to aggregate our pricing into your service models, and it's very important that we give you predictable and easy consumption models to leverage. Next is scale and the performance. Clearly, you're offering commercial solutions to your customers, and that's going to be very critical in terms of how they have access to those in the cloud. And what's important to them really is the ability to have those act to them in the same way as if they were on premise. What we do for you is give you the ability to have speed and scale. What would, for example, something that runs 5 times faster in the Oracle Cloud mean to you versus on-prem or other public clouds? How would that experience be for your customers? I think it'd be very important. How about service level agreements? We know that that's also critical to you and your customers, not just what type of uptime you have, but also the performance and the scalability and the manageability as well. How would this impact your experience, if you were able to, deliver this type of satisfaction to your customers? What would it actually do to the retention and renewal rates of your business as well? Obviously, Oracle's known for this, and we develop everything with security and data protection in mind, and it's actually at every single layer of our public cloud. Only in terms of the access controls that you actually have and monitoring and auditing, but also separate cloud control computers as well. This is very important to you, not only from the standpoint of data, but also from the standpoint of manageability. Knowing that many of you are a SaaS or a multi-tenant provider gives you the ability to maximize your architecture, your cost, and your performance, by having the deepest and most trusted security and data protection in the industry. And lastly, we've talked a lot about your bottom line, and we've talked a lot about the performance and the security of your product. We also want to look at what we can actually do from the top line as well, and how do we help you with market expansion. I think there's a lot of great opportunities here with Oracle and the ability to leverage what we do as well to create go-to-market opportunities for you. We have over 200,000 SaaS customers worldwide, creating an opportunity for you to integrate and extend our SaaS applications and market to those bases. You can see the number of users that we have daily, and the visibility and the opportunity that that gives you in terms of reach. And clearly, it's starting to show in great success with Oracle and our ISVs, giving you comfort in terms of what we offer, with over 100% year-over-year, customer growth, and even greater usage growth in terms of that. And what's most important is actually, in my world, the ability to say that, we're actually growing at over 150% annually with production ISV loads. And that's important because you're trusting us with your business and you're actually, running with your customers live in our cloud. Most importantly, I don't care where in the world you're located, you have the ability with cloud, to do business globally. So from that standpoint, we actually have 36 data centers, worldwide that gives you the ability, to build on one cloud platform and have a very robust international opportunity. If we look at what Oracle Cloud actually is, we usually talk about it in terms of these three tiers. You kind of start at the bottom, in terms of our core services. Oracle itself is a SaaS provider, and we've built our cloud, to be able to deliver that and are offering that to you as well. If you kind of start on the one side, I think most people expect compute, networking, and storage. That's something that's critical and almost table stakes. But what's very important now is us rolling out Autonomous Database as well, both for transactional processing as well as data warehouse management. That really gives you some great benefits, as a SaaS provider. And I'll talk about that a little bit in the next slide. As you kind of move up the stack, you start to get into more platform as a service or developer services, to where we increase the efficiency of your application development model, the ability to integrate easier, not just with Oracle applications and products, but with other third-party products that we know. Oracle's a very open cloud, and the ability to bring, non-Oracle solutions is a very robust offering, and many of you do it. Clearly, analytics and data management is very important, so giving you those types of services, and a lot of security options as well, in terms of how to leverage that, everything from the application layer all the way down to the data itself. Obviously, this is a platform, and this in itself is not a solution. What we're actually really excited about then are the applications that sit on top of that. At the very top of it, obviously Oracle's got a lot of industry solutions with the GBUs, which we're going to talk about, but we've got a lot of horizontal solutions as well for ERP, supply chain, human capital, and customer management. But again, what we're here to talk about today is a lot more of what you guys do, and that's extend, augment, or offer solutions that Oracle doesn't even have itself. And we've got a very, exciting list of partners that are running on the Oracle Cloud. And you can see just a few of those options here. Zoom for video conferencing, we're all using it today. Workforce software, for advanced time and attendance and workforce management capabilities. Manhattan for supply chain and warehouse and distribution management. Cisco Tetration, for security and data center management. And Altar for kind of high performance computing and simulation software. You can kind of see the breadth of those types of partners, that the Oracle Cloud is for everybody. And there's really not just one type of partner, that we've actually designed our solution for. You hear a lot though about clouds, and I kind of want to just take another second here and talk about differentiated capabilities for our ISV partners on the Oracle Cloud. I probably won't hit all of these just in the interest of time, and I've kind of covered a few of those, but let me do highlight a couple of them here. We talked about price performance. I'm going to challenge you at the end of this to actually have us show and prove that out to you. Again, 5 times faster, 30 to 40% cheaper is not something that we just talk about, something that we see time and time again in working with companies like you. We mentioned the enterprise SLAs, not just the availability of can your customers get to the cloud, but more importantly, do you have the ability to manage your solution in the cloud? Is the performance that we're giving you actually tenable? And what's important is our downtime to upgrade our system, unlike other cloud providers, is not excluded from our SLAs to you. So actually, we give you SLAs that are in the lines of 12 minutes, a year in downtime, highly important to you and your customers. I mentioned autonomous data management. I think it's very important for customers, and we talk a lot about eliminating human error, and the security and the patching and the backup of it. But more importantly, you can do this with fewer people. And you as the ISV, you as the solution, the SaaS provider yourself, all of those costs and any people or time directly go to your bottom line. And we actually see, our partners being able to cut those administrative costs by up to 80%, giving you the ability to deploy those, very valuable resources, to things like improving and enhancing your product. Customer deployment and flexibility. Oracle obviously has been known for years as having a great on-premise or a licensed business. We're here today really talking about public cloud, but Oracle also has the ability to have cloud at customer, where we put the exact same hardware that runs in our data center in yours, if you're in a geography that doesn't have public data centers, or if you're in a solution that's highly regulated. And the best part of all of this is you can design a solution that runs on any of these and have portability in terms of how you deliver it to your customers. I talked about our enterprise customer base. Oracle is one of the largest ISVs in the world ourselves. Zero hypocrisy. We run our products on these solutions. If we can do it, you can run your product on our cloud and deliver it in the same manner. And I talked about ease of purchase. Oracle gives you the ability to buy what we call universal credits. And with that, you can buy any product that we have available today and the future. Your exact costs across all of our data centers, and gives you the predictability to price your product very easily. If you're an existing Oracle partner, we have great incentives, for BYOL or bring your licenses, so that if you're already hosting in your own private data centers, you can leverage that. And we appreciate your business, and we want to reward that with very rich incentives to bring those workloads to our cloud. As a result, we're seeing a lot of success. Obviously, you can see a lot of logos here, and you would recognize a lot of them depending upon, what part of the world that you're in. But a lot of these leading partners are delivering solutions that are very creative. I talked a lot about some of the ones at the beginning, as other companies that you would know of, like Sabre and Airline Solutions, CMIC, for the construction industry, PST, a division of Union Pacific that does railroad training online, so that their pilots can actually see what it's like to go through certain cities and other scenarios online before they actually get in the trains. So again, a wide variety of business applications, security products, development tools, and we're very excited by what we have here with these partners. What I think is really important, though, if we start to drill down into the last aspects of this, we've talked about the platform at a high level, talked a little bit about the partners that are taking advantage of it. Let me honestly leave you here with another interesting part, and that's the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. The Oracle Cloud Marketplace is really a curated set, of deployable third-party ISV applications that we market and make directly available to our customers themselves. Not only do these deploy your solution for the customers to use, but they're also set up to deploy the Oracle Cloud infrastructure that's needed as well. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for our partners, or for our customers, to access our partner solutions. What's really great about it is it gives you the ability, to offer several different types of solutions through the marketplace. You can offer a free solution. Maybe you have demo or trial systems you want to make available. Maybe you also have already sold, like Oracle, a lot of licensing to customers, and you want to install and give them a BYOL option so that they can easily, onboard to the public cloud, leveraging existing licensing that you have. Most importantly and most exciting is actually paid listings. Oracle will sell your software and give the ability for you to sell it in the marketplace to our customers. And that's actually probably one of the most exciting things with this, because it's enabling you to get access to our thousands of sellers who are interested and motivated on usage to be interested in your product and promoting it, as well as access to our hundreds of thousands of customers. Great opportunity for you to open new markets and a new go-to-market model that you can leverage by working with Oracle. If I look a little bit at the next steps of how do you kind of get engaged here, I want to just talk about two more items before I bring Matt Shivers on to share the Oracle at Oracle experience. First is the Oracle Partner Network, and specifically the Cloud Build Track for our cloud partners. You've been familiar probably with the Oracle Partner Network for years and years, honestly, decades. We've modernized it specifically for the cloud. And for those customers and partners that are interested in it, the Cloud Build Track will provide you everything that you need to simplify and accelerate your onboarding experience to the Oracle Cloud, to get ported, to leverage it, and then of course, to take advantage of the go-to-market benefits, we've been mentioning here to start promoting your product. And most importantly, when we look at this, these are the areas that we want to support you on and will challenge you to work with us on. First is the technical piece, and obviously the most important. Your application's your business, and it's got to work. We'll prove it to you on the technical side with workshops and hands-on labs. We'll give you trial environments and the resources to actually try it and prove it out, both functionally as well as performance. And we'll give you direct access not only to resources in the ISV organization that specialize, but directly into our development teams as well, for optimization, for marketplace work and activities such as that. On the commercial front, we talked about the universal credit model. License mobility is very important in what we do here in terms of how you can take your licenses from on-prem to public cloud to private cloud and back and forth. And we don't actually have a single model that you have to take advantage of. We understand all of you go to market in different ways. And so we have, several commercial models that align to how you want to sell, whether you want to be a SaaS provider, you want to sell to customers and have them purchase the cloud, or you just want to support the cloud, and actually not take advantage in any kind of distribution models available to you as well. We just want to work with you and get you into the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure model. Last but not least, I think a lot of people can do the technical, a lot of people can help you with the commercial. What Oracle really wants to do is help you, again, as I mentioned, go to market as well. Not only do we give you the branding, the logos to promote your solutions to your customers, help you with our marketplaces, various models, whether you want to market to our SaaS companies, if you are integrated into our SaaS products, or you want to get into our marketplace and our deployable images, those are all available to you. We'll help you with PR, with case studies, we'll amplify you, with articles and Oracle.com and a lot of other, joint marketing to help you win customers, which obviously we know is important to all of us in this ever-expanding cloud world. I'll come back and summarize these here shortly and talk about a few next steps of how to get engaged with us. But what we really wanted to talk about today was to share the Oracle experience and what Oracle is actually doing to leverage the public cloud. As I mentioned, zero hypocrisy in our model. So why don't I introduce Matt Shivers now, and he can talk about what we're doing in a very similar model to what we're asking you to do in terms of supporting the Oracle Cloud. Matt?
Yeah, thanks so much, David. And that really is what I would hope to get across here over the next maybe 12 to 15 minutes is that, just as David has already highlighted, that there is zero hypocrisy in our model. So when we promote the differentiated advantages and capabilities of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, it's not just in terms of a prescriptive or something we recommend to a partner or a customer. Rather, it is something that we are implementing ourselves. And to help sort of put a finer point on that, what I'd like to do is summarize for you the work that over the past several months our industry GBUs, our Oracle Global Business Units, have been doing to actually migrate our large and still expanding portfolio of industry applications over to OCI. So David had already, I think, touched on this, but if you look at the scale and the scope of our global business units today, and I guess to sort of further define the model or the construct here, these are groups of dedicated industry-focused teams where we have also vertically integrated all of the core functions. So those are inclusive of product management and strategy, engineering and development, marketing, sales. So these are very robust organizations. I think David also had made the point, if you were to look at revenues from the Oracle GBUs in isolation, they would still add up to probably one of the 5 largest standalone software companies in the world. So very significant part of our overall business, and a huge portfolio of applications. Here, for example, we highlight the fact that there are more than 60 application suites. If you level down from there, there are literally hundreds of discrete products that comprise those suites. Massive worldwide customer base. Also interesting to note that these are not simply premise-based deployments, but our GBUs have been running hosted or cloud-based deployments of these same applications for significant numbers of customers for the past several years. So this is not just simply an on-prem to cloud migration. We're also looking to rationalize different hosting models, different hosting facilities arrayed around the world. I'll not go through each set of data points that are unique to each of the verticals that are highlighted here on the slide, but again, suffice it to say, a large dynamic business and comprised of a large number of real enterprise business applications that are very often deployed for mission critical workloads within these vertical industries. Next slide, please. So again, in terms of scale and scope, I'd mentioned the fact that this is a still expanding portfolio of robust applications. If you look at the composition of our global business units, particularly from a product standpoint, these portfolios are made up of both organic or natively developed applications, as well as a number of acquisitions that Oracle's made over the past several years. With those acquisitions, we've also inherited a significant number of data centers around the world. These are a mixture of wholly owned as well as colo and leased facilities, but supporting hosted deployments of those GBU apps, 80 data centers worldwide, a significant number. So really, when you're considering the scope of the challenge, right, of the project that the Oracle GBUs were taking on here at the outset, you have to account for the fact that it's not just a large and diverse set of products, it's different customer types, different deployment models for those same applications, as well as, of course, for a number of the more highly regulated industries we sell into, some fairly stringent compliance requirements, which you can see enumerated here on the right side of the slide. So really a massive effort that has been undertaken that I'm pleased to say we're nearly all the way through today. And before wrapping up here, we'll touch on what some of the results have been, some of the early returns from all the work that the teams have been doing here. Next, please, Tiffany. So essentially, if you look at sort of the process that we'd followed, there are 4 basic steps, and I characterize them as basic insofar as conceptually they're very straightforward. Executing on these is not so simple, as maybe not so straightforward. But I also want to reiterate here that again, this isn't simply something we prescribe to Oracle customers and partners, right? Again, this is something that we're taking on ourselves. This is actually the model that we have been executing against. And so I would encourage you to look at this as not just something Oracle has done or taken on, but to also view it as a set of best practices, as a framework that other software companies can leverage, that can replicate. And of course, wherever you may find yourself along the way, along the proverbial journey or path, we have resources and expertise that we can bring to bear to help you. Would love to understand more about what maybe you're challenged with, how we may be able to help, and again, how we may be able to impart some best practices based on what we've done, what we've learned, and what we have found to be successful. Next slide, please. So looking again at that 4-step process, it really all starts with visioning an endpoint. That is to say, having a clear view to what we are looking to achieve, right? What are our end goals and objectives, and working back from those. Then we need to understand, as a means to that end, what are the design patterns and development pathways that make most sense, right? What is the standard architecture on which we can land all of these diverse applications? We also then need to look at it through an engineering lens, right? How do we further standardize and compress that underlying technology stack and ensure, again, that it is consistently deployed across all of our data center facilities and across all of our GBU applications? And then finally, of course, how do we launch, right? How do we move through that initial migration effort and actually get to full production, scaled deployments of these applications on a consolidated set of facilities? Next slide, please. So what I'm going to do here, and I suppose it should be fairly evident from the structure of the slide, is I'll look to level down from each of these core steps and hopefully put a finer point on what we've done, again, where we've found success and what we see as best practices. So simply put, in terms of that envisioning step, what are or have been our major strategic objectives? And I suspect that these look quite similar to the same strategic objectives that many of our partners have, and that David had highlighted earlier on. Right? We are motivated by cost reduction. We have requirements around cloud performance and scale. We have stringent requirements around cloud security and data protection. So again, these are by no means unique to Oracle. But really, the first sort of motivating principle for us was to ensure that we were protecting and bringing forward our existing customers. Again, this is a large global install base. So, this is, first and foremost, or I should say at the forefront of our thought process, right? And something we need to build into each of these subsequent stages. We also want to get those same customers moved over to our Gen 2 infrastructure as expeditiously as possible so that they can start getting value in terms of improved scale and performance and reduced costs, and that we can realize some of those same benefits as well. Importantly, this concept of being our own customer, or in some cases what we characterize as having Oracle as customer zero, right? We're not just implementing these for external users and third parties. We're implementing these applications to automate Oracle business processes as well. We want to ensure, again, that we are getting on a modern platform, a common and consistent architecture, and we also want to ensure that at every layer of the stack, we are implementing robust security protocols. Next slide, please. So those are sort of the guiding principles. How do we actually start executing against those? How do we put those into practice? In terms of the architect phase, broadly, we see there as being really sort of two primary paths to modern public cloud. The first is what we refer to as move and improve. Others may refer to this as lift and shift. We've got a slightly more nuanced view of that because we don't think it's sufficient just to simply land on different infrastructure. We think that there are some real advantages that may accrue as a result of migration. So we prefer the term move and improve. But the basic concept is very much the same. We want to take a set of applications more or less as is, that is to say, change as part of that migration process, get them to our Gen 2 cloud, and then on a more incremental basis, look at ways in which we can further consume Gen 2 cloud capabilities with those applications. And then the second path really entails a more sort of fundamental refactoring of those applications. So, and we looked at each of those 60 plus application suites in isolation to do this sort of analysis before we started in on any migration or development effort. And so here the idea is that for certain applications, it may make more sense to optimize those architectures before moving them or migrating them to our Gen 2 cloud. And here, of course, you can see some of the factors that inform the decisions that we were making, right? How can we further improve customer satisfaction? What are ways in which we can build more automation and lifecycle management and tooling into the applications? How might we further bolster security and compliance? So again, we really were careful to undertake a very thorough analysis of each discrete application and to really determine before embarking on any sort of technical effort, path made most sense. So really a critical step in the process, not something you want to think through after you've already started to migrate your intellectual property. Um, cannot understate the importance of this step. Next slide, please. Then in terms of the engineering effort, what were our motivators? What were our drivers? What were we looking to measure as success? First and foremost, we wanted to eliminate complexity. David's mentioned this. I've already mentioned it repeatedly as well. You'll likely hear it as a recurring theme here, but we wanted to get to a standard and consistent architecture deployed for all of our applications, for all of our customers in every region. And again, if you'll recall, a number of these applications were based on earlier acquisitions that Oracle had made. So it was a fairly disparate set of technologies already underpinning these different apps. Never mind different deployment models between those that are premise-based and cloud-based. So we needed to get to a standard architecture and land all of our applications there. Once there, of course, we also wanted to ensure that we were not just running more modern infrastructure, but further consuming with these applications new modern capabilities. So taking full advantage of all that Oracle Cloud has to offer. Not just getting more cost efficient and more performant, but actually incorporating new differentiated capabilities that our customers could take advantage of, that they could immediately get value from. Some other important aspects of sort of the development or engineering effort here as well. Very disparate set of applications, a number of which have been acquired, running a significant amount of third-party products. So we really wanted to understand how can we actually reduce the numbers of third-party products that we were leveraging to get down to something more manageable and again, something more cost efficient. I mentioned this one already as well. So not just landing on Gen 2 infrastructure performance and lower cost, but actually taking on board new differentiated capabilities, leveraging, for example, Oracle Autonomous Database capabilities, a lot of the tooling, the lifecycle management that is inherent to the Oracle Cloud Platform. And of course, again, how do we measure material cost reduction? Certainly CapEx is a meaningful measure of that when you're starting from a base of 80 data centers around the world. So we have seen significant, and again, material reduction in costs there. And also cost reduction in terms of the amount of licensing of third-party product as a result of getting to a more standard and common architecture. Next slide, please. All right, some other important guiding principles for us, and also recurring themes, which no doubt by now you've picked up on. So automating critical tasks. We've done quite a lot of work in this area in terms of leveraging modern capabilities such as artificial intelligence, modern machine learning, to intelligently automate tasks, and also to do so in more adaptive ways as well. And what we find is it's not only reducing human error in driving greater efficiency in our deployments, it's also significantly improving security. So that's really important as well. There are some tremendous advantages in terms of automating threat detection and adaptive responses to threats. So security is also a critical objective for us when we think about implementing autonomous capabilities with these applications. And then also, of course, getting applications provisioned much more rapidly, right? And in nearly half the time, if you look at these numbers, reducing downtime for those same applications in terms of maintenance and upgrades and patching. So significant benefit here, driving further cost reduction, and also, as I said, improving overall performance and security for these same applications. Next slide, please. Another of those recurring themes, security. Can't understate the importance of this one either. we think about security, it's not just in isolation. So we don't just think in terms of, for example, identity management or authentication or security defined just at the database level, for example. We are engineering security literally into every layer of the stack. So we think of it in a very sort of holistic and comprehensive way. It's inherent to the infrastructure. It's built into the core platform technologies that are running over the top of that infrastructure. And it's also built into the business applications that our customers are consuming from that infrastructure. Next slide, please. So at launch, what are we seeing? As I mentioned previously, starting from a base of 80 data centers worldwide, we've reduced that down to just 11 Oracle Cloud Gen 2 data centers. That's a massive reduction. And it's one that we've been able to accomplish in large part based on the performance characteristics of OCI, where what we found consistently when migrating these applications there is that we can run at the same, if not better levels of performance, actually using less physical infrastructure, right? Because the infrastructure is that performant. So that's also been a significant factor there in terms of getting that number of global data centers reduced so dramatically. And of course, massive cost savings just in terms of running and managing the infrastructure itself. And again, you know, this is not just a hypothetical. This is not academic. This is not just something we prescribe, as I said, to our partners and customers. Clearly, this is something that we are implementing ourselves, and the results that we're getting are meaningful. They are accruing directly to Oracle Corporation's bottom line, and they are the very same benefits and advantages that are on offer to our software vendor partners. Next slide, please. So just to net this out for you, and I will, before concluding and handing back over to David, highlight some related resources. First, clearly we see it as critical to optimize for acceleration and business impact, right? And it's important to understand how you balance both, right? Moving quickly just for the sake of moving quickly may not ultimately get you the result that you're looking for, right? Or get your customers where you need for them to be. So you need to balance their requirements. Again, I mentioned that, you know, as part of the planning that we did at the outset of this initiative, our first guiding principle was to ensure that we protected our existing customers, right? So yeah, we want to move quickly. We want to get them to modern Gen 2 cloud infrastructure as expeditiously as we possibly can. But we've also got to be careful to do the way that still delivers value, is not disruptive, and again, ultimately is driving higher levels of customer satisfaction and usage of the applications. Understanding that there are different paths to cloud, right? This is not a one size fits all approach. We've been very diligent and very thoughtful about which applications to move, in which order, and then how we wanted to move those, whether we were looking to do a move and improve, or we're actually looking to do some re-architecting or refactoring of the application before even undertaking the migration effort. Ensuring that we have solid executive alignment. As I'd mentioned, our global business units are vertically integrated insofar as they include product management and development leadership, all the way through to engineering, support, marketing, and sales. So making certain that we have solid alignment there. And also appreciating, even from the outset, that these projects tend to be dynamic. You should anticipate that there are going to be changes. You may not necessarily know upfront what they're going to be or when they're going to land, but rest assured they are going to happen. So you need to remain agile, and you need to look for opportunities to further optimize and iterate these processes as you work through them. Next slide, please. So as I said, this is, in our view, a replicable set of best practices that are available to our software partners and prospective partners around the world. What we've actually started doing is on a regular basis reporting out on the work that we've been doing here. So we refer to this as the Oracle at Oracle Cloud Infrastructure story. And we started telling this story, or at least externalizing the story, about 4 months ago. We were planning to release 5 sets of assets. Each will minimally include a white paper, as well as some related presentation materials. You can see those listed here. We have so far published the first 2, so the road ahead, which is in large part what I've summarized here today. We also published some pieces around technical planning, and then you see here that we will be releasing additional material. And all of this gets published actually through the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure blog. You can see the URL here along the bottom. I would encourage you to go to the site, check out the material, ask questions, let us know if you've got specific requirements or issues that we may be able to help address, or we may be able to put you in contact with experts from within Oracle that have lived through this already, who can further impart some of those same best practices. So yeah, please do have a look at that material. I want to thank you once more for joining us here today, and look forward to working with you. Back to you, David.
Great. Thank you, Matt. I actually encourage people to do one other thing as well. That was a great overview, Matt. A lot of times people will say, well, of course, Oracle's for Oracle. I think as Matt pointed out, a lot of these were acquired in other companies as well. And so the progress and that transformation has been remarkable. If you're interested in non-Oracle on Oracle stories as well, you think that might be more applicable to you, I encourage you to go to oracle.com/cloud/economics, where you can get a great overview of a lot of other application providers just like you and the results that they've seen in moving to the Oracle Cloud, along what we've talked about today: cost, performance, and get a better, perhaps solution idea yourself. Again, if you don't think the Oracle on Oracle parallel is best for your business, we've got lots of other opportunities for you as well. So what I'd actually like to do, is leave you with this, and hopefully we've persuaded you to at least have a look at the Oracle Cloud and what it can do for your applications and your overall business. As next steps, I kind of would encourage you to look at these 4 items with us. First, kind of look at your portfolio and identify some target applications that you could actually migrate to the Oracle Cloud. Maybe consider just deploying a single application as a start. You don't have to start with everything. And then consider how and which Oracle services you can actually leverage to gain confidence and to begin testing with us. Second is engage with Oracle. Let our resources actually have an initial architectural conversation with you and share a little bit more about how your application could be migrated, how it could be deployed, and how we can optimize it in the Oracle Cloud for you and your customers. After that, let's actually work and develop a targeted and a scoped POC. Let's write a test plan that we can both agree to, document results, and let us prove to you these advantages that we've actually talked about here in terms of running your application on the Oracle Cloud, and compare to what you're doing today on-prem in a private data center or in another public cloud. And then lastly, let's try to quantify and work together on the business benefits that you can see on moving to the Oracle Cloud as well. Let's build a model and show you how partnering with us in the cloud can actually help you not only in reducing your costs, increasing your performance, but actually accelerate your top line revenue growth and expand your business and add customers as well. I'd like to thank you for joining Matt and I today. Hopefully we'll see you again in a future version of Cloud Talk. Appreciate your time and look forward to working with you and testing out and moving to the Oracle Cloud. Have a good day.